I'm going to answer another thing. Yeah, now I'm petting you guys. Yes, give you guys love. But now, I could make a rabbit tractor and have them eat grass and be out into the field. But there are also things to consider. Hello, Cardinal. There are parasites and predators who would see these guys hanging out and want to eat them. And they could get mites, they could get parasites from being right on the ground. And they could dig and get out, and there is diseases out there that they could get from being out in the grass and stuff that could harm their fur, make them itchy, make them bald, like dogs, they get fleas and mites and ticks. Rabbits could get that too. And it's not always good to make them discomfortable, makes them sad. And so for their safety, to ensure they're not going to get mites or parasites, it's best for them to be raised. Now, if I do a grow out, specifically grow out, so they're not going to live out in the grass and eat grass and stuff for enrichment type, I would have to raise it up, especially in Florida. Our bugs don't die in the winter. So they're here year round. And
tropical.
Anyway, and
we'll buy a pink cow.
Anyway, sorry, my son was asking if he could play at the playground. So, we had one design where we're looking at, we could have them on a raised area with 2 platforms where they'll have an automatic waterer and food, and then they'll have access to eat any grass that grows through, this wire. And yes, we could do that, but you can't always make something 100% predator proof. Because if a predator really wants to eat these guys, they'll find a way to do it. So there's also predators, like being up in a secure building, even open air pole barns, right? With the raised cages, prevents most predator activity, especially when you have them up against near your house, because most predators know not to go near human settlements, right? And prevents the mites and the parasites, right? And being on the ground would get them contact, especially in my area. I have at least several wild rabbit population colonies on just my 5 acres. And there's a disease that has no known proven cure. And this disease is called Sorry about that. I had to close to read what the disease was. So, this very contagious disease that could affect both wild rabbit populations and domestic rabbits is called RHDV2. And it's very fast, very sudden. It could take 3 days and the rabbit would be suddenly dead. You can see some illness and stuff, and there's really no way for you to prevent it for you because it is literally contact based, right? So if I had a colony of rabbits, right, even if a grow out colony, people probably seen with some homesteads, they have grow out colonies where they have the rabbits out in a secured a secured area where they can hop around and grow till the time they go to the next stage in their life. And you run the risk, especially if you have a lot of wild rabbits like I do, right? if a wild rabbit comes in contact with that disease and it comes and touches, let's say, this rabbit, it comes really close proximity. Now this rabbit's contagious right away. Like, it's now infected, and it'll affect this one, this one, this one, all of them, and they all die. Like, it really would wipe out rabbitry, wild rabbit populations, and all that. And since there is no cure, I think there might be a prototype vaccine for it now, but it's still very deadly. Like, by the time you find out it is that disease, it's too late. Like, the vaccine's more preventative than a cure. So to help prevent it, either I scare off or make that I don't have any wild rabbits around that could possibly bring in that disease to affect my rabbits at home, or I do preventive care so they don't get hurt. Like, for example, these two, right, Naveen and Belle, who were in the county fair, right, to ensure that they don't get my other rabbits sick, they're in isolation. I'm not going to put them together with any other rabbits for 2 weeks. Till I know that if they did get any illness, any sickness, they are not going to spread it through my rabbitry, right? And I'm a small rabbitry. That disease could wipe out my whole operation. So that's why it's, you see videos and stuff of rabbits hopping around outside, looking all happy and stuff. Like, the videos you see is really a very minimal short time. Like, even with the tractors and the grow out colonies and even breeding colonies, it depending on your area and what you have. And you run the risk of all that with predators, parasites, internal and external. And that deadly rabbit diseases that could transmit to your whole herd, right? You need to drink water. I know there's water in there. That's why that rabbit has floppy ears. It's slightly dehydrated, needs to drink water. But you can't force a rabbit to drink, right? But, so yeah, that's why, would I love them to experience grass? Yes, but then that's selfish for me, right? That becomes selfish because I know there's far worse things that they could get if I give them that exposure, right? So it's just safer for them in the long run, especially with my operation that I'm doing. Safest for them is being in here or in other cages that you see online with other people sharing their rabbitries and their operations. Because a small cage like this, they're not going to be able to stretch and run so fast where if they do get scared, they could break their backs. Like, rabbits are known. They have a fragile skeletal system. Like, if they run so fast and they have so much room that they're able to do that, they could break their bones very easily, even if it's by accident, right? Like, they don't know. They hear a strange sound, they get spooked. I had that happen with a rabbit. That's something that you got to look out for. So, you need to drink some water too. Go drink some water. There's some right there.